Hello, Power Fam. Hope you all are doing all right. Sorry I haven't been uploading recently because I was just caught up in some work. Today we are going to learn about salts. When you think of salt, you probably think of the salt you use as flavoring. This is sodium chloride. There are many salts that have important uses in our everyday lives, such as to preserve food. Gymnasts use the salt magnesium carbonate to keep their hands dry so they do not slip on the apparatus. Calcium sulfate is a salt that is used to make blackwood chalk, and the list goes on. Every day, the chemical industry makes hundreds of thousands of tons of different salts. Many methods of making salts start with acids. All acids contain hydrogen. Hydrochloric acid is one of the common acids used in a laboratory. An example of salt would be sodium chloride. Example of salt that is made from sulfuric acid is copper sulfate. Another one is nitric acid. And an example of salt would be potassium nitrate. There are two other acids you may need, which are carbonic acid and citric acid. Carbonic acid is a weak acid, which is formed when carbon dioxide reacts with water. Citric acid is found in fruits such as oranges and lemons. Salts made from carbonic acid are called carbonates, and salts made from citric acid is called citrates. Now we'll look into the different ways of making salt. One of it that I previously mentioned is acid plus metal produces salt and hydrogen. Now this is a general equation. And here is the word equation for the reaction between zinc and hydrochloric acid. It makes zinc chloride and hydrogen. This is the reaction. And it's important to know the symbol equations as well. Zinc plus hydrochloric acid produces zinc chloride and hydrogen. Now if you're wondering which one is the salt, it's zinc chloride. Some metals will not react with acids to make salts. For example, silver and copper are too unreactive to displace hydrogen from an acid. So we have to find another way of making salts from unreactive metals. We can do this by starting with a metal oxide. Here is a general equation for this reaction. Metal oxide plus acid produces salt and water. In this example, we can make copper sulfate by heating copper oxide with sulfuric acid. And copper sulfate is a salt. Another method of making salt is by adding metal carbonate into acid. This produces the salt plus water plus carbon dioxide. Here's an example. This limestone is made up of calcium carbonate. It is added into hydrochloric acid, and this produces the calcium chloride, which is a salt, plus water plus carbon dioxide. Forming salts by neutralization. Here's an example. Sodium hydroxide, which is the alkali, plus hydrochloric acid produces sodium chloride. The other product is water. Now we'll learn about alkali and bases. When a metal oxide dissolves in water, it forms an alkaline solution. Metal oxides are called bases. Soluble metal bases form alkali when they dissolve in water. Sodium oxide plus water makes sodium hydroxide. So sodium oxide is a base, the sodium hydroxide is an alkali. Now what if the metal is not soluble? For example, iron and copper oxide. They do not form alkalis, but they can still react with acids to form salts. For example, copper oxide plus sulfuric acid produces copper sulfate and water. Here is the formula.